Today, we're going to be building a new shrimp rack to replace this old better system in my retail fish store. I've invited my good friends Dave and Quentin back to help with this project.
Whoa! What the heck?
Just when you thought it was safe, we're back.
Dave and Quentin helped me construct the entire fish room. And it's been a little while since the last time we've seen each other.
Oh!
So it was good to catch up and see some of Dave's antics again.
I could fillet one of them.
So a few months ago, I built this better system from scratch, and it did work. The problem with this system was it was becoming too hard to clean. It was constantly covered in algae, which I don't mind for out back, but out the front in the store, this wasn't a great look. Not to mention, we weren't selling nearly enough betters to justify having this many in store. So it was time for a revamp.
We're thinking of having a shelving here.
Quentin's definitely the brains of the operation.
And then we've got a shelf through here.
Yep.
And we came up with a quick plan on how we were going to do this.
6 there.
Yep.
6 there.
Yep.
Better stand here, and then we're going to build a cabinet
Just
like that.
No, we're just going to do floating shelves.
That's right, yeah, floating shelves
Yeah,
now. So.
just go to cover that area.
To replace this old better system, I got myself a commercially made one. There's far less containers in this one, and it's also professionally made, so this should be easier to clean and run better. Not to mention, I think it looks a lot nicer. For those of you who don't know what this system is, basically each container is part of a recirculating system, where water is constantly dripped into each container and runs out back. The water then goes into a sump where it's pumped into the containers again, which gives each better a larger volume of water without having to set up massive tanks for them. After we had our plans in place, it was time to dismantle the old system. Moving this bad boy was not so easy. Even after we removed all the water, it was still super heavy. I made sure to follow Dave's advice and lock my knees and lift with my back.
Back's f***ed anyway, mate.
The wall was now ready for the new rack. And after a quick lunch, we got right back into it. And just like Dave's showing you here, it's all in the back.
Bastard. Taking pictures at the wrong time.
Amazingly, the boys found some old wood that we could use for free to build this system.
A lot of wood here. You'll seriously do anything to cut corners, won't you?
Yep. To save you money. Recycling.
I actually really appreciate this. I'm massive on recycling, and I think that this is a great way to use up some old wood without buying some new stuff. Plus it adds to the rustic look of my store. But it does mean you need to prep the wood before you use it, and try and remove the previous signs of life.
Oh, do you want a pair?
Well, I don't know for this thing.
Oh!
Just tell them I'm deaf, I can't hear anything.
We then began cutting pieces to size.
Whoa! What the heck?
Yeah, that's why you gotta be careful.
And then laid out the first frame on the concrete out front. We then brought everything in store and started to nail it together.
You just stand and look as always, don't you?
Leave it up for Quentin, that way it's up, it's his fault.
Yeah.
After nailing it, we added some screws for some extra support.
You can mess with us up.
You more than others.
Yeah, that's true.
We then made the other half of the frame. After this, we began joining them together. This is when you cross your fingers that Dave and Quentin got the measurements right. Luckily, it seems like they did this time. So we began nailing it together. After this, it was time to add the bench top. And just like that, the stand was complete. So we brought the better system in to see how it would look. The good thing about this upgrade was it allowed me to make some more shelf space for some dry goods in my store. I don't sell a whole lot of these, but I do have a new fish food and I would love to present it right here. Especially as people would be checking out with their fish here.
Gotta give them their shirts. Beautiful. Thank you. All good. Thank as well. Okay. You're not gonna hop out of the car for it?
Now the rest was up to me. And I decided to give the stand a varnish. So I went around with my sander and tidied up the build. I then gave the wood a few layers of cabothane. This should help to waterproof it and protect it from mold. You could paint something like this, but I think the wood really adds some character to the shop. Then it was time to figure out how I would get air to all of these tanks. I figured out a way of linking it to the current system, and also found a way to hide it behind the fridge, so it's not a huge eyesore. You can see Dave and Quentin took my hammer. To light the tanks, I used some really simple LED floodlights. You can get these from any department store. They work great and they provide a full spectrum of light to look at your fish, and they're also really cheap. These are only 10 watt lights and they only cost me about $20 Australian. These lights really brought the build together. Before adding the tanks in, I tapped in all the airline tubings into the system. It's best you do all this work before the tanks block up the space. I like to paint all of my tanks black, and to do this I use a very simple spray paint. I figured out that the gloss paint sticks the best. I then installed all the tanks and the build was complete. Unfortunately, this system is not part of my automatic water change, but luckily a lot of these fish don't need constant water changing, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. It has been quite a few months since we built this system, and I'm here to update you on how it's going. You can see all the tanks look a whole lot better now that they've got some fish in them. I'm slowly building up my shrimp numbers to supply the store. I'm pretty happy with how this system worked out, and I think it looks a whole lot better than what was here originally. I tried to plan everything in my store down to a T, but it shows you that you still make mistakes and there's always room for optimization. And it's safe to say that we've been selling a whole lot more dry goods since we installed this. I think it's easy to see why. Thanks so much for watching this video guys, and I'll see you in the next one.